Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you today about emotional control. Because if you don't learn how to manage your emotions will manage you. And trust me, they will take you places you never planned to go. See, psychology teaches us something powerful. Emotions are natural, but reactions are a choice. Life will press you, people will test you, situations will challenge you. But emotional control is what separates growth from regret. Emotions are natural, but reactions are a choice, and that right there can change your whole life, if you truly understand it. Psychology explains that emotions are automatic responses created by the brain when it senses a situation, a threat, or a memory. You don't choose to feel angry, hurt, embarrassed, or afraid. Those feelings show up on their own. What you do choose is how long you stay there and what you do next. Too many people confuse feeling something with having to act on it. Just because you feel angry doesn't mean you have to speak angry. Just because you feel hurt doesn't mean you have to react in pain. When you react without thinking, you let your emotions make decisions for you, and emotions don't care about your future. They only care about the moment. Psychology shows that when emotions take over, the rational part of the brain becomes quieter. That's why people say things they regret, make impulsive choices, and damage relationships in seconds. Emotional control gives your mind time to catch up with your feelings. It creates a pause, and in that pause is power. Choosing your reaction doesn't mean you're weak or pretending everything is fine. It means you are aware. You recognize the emotion, you accept it, but you don't let it control your behavior. People who understand this are harder to manipulate, harder to provoke, and stronger under pressure. They don't explode when challenged, and they don't collapse when things go wrong. They respond with intention instead of impulse, and over time, that choice builds respect, stability, and inner strength. Emotional control leads to better decision making because clear thinking cannot exist in a crowded, emotional mind. Psychology shows that when emotions run high, the brain shifts into a reactive state, focusing on survival rather than logic. In that moment, decisions are driven by fear, anger, or excitement instead of reason. That is why people make choices they later regret. Not because they are incapable, but because emotions temporarily cloud judgment. When you learn to control your emotions, you give your mind the space it needs to think clearly. A controlled emotional state allows the brain to analyze consequences, weigh options, and consider long-term outcomes. Instead of asking, "How do I feel right now?" you begin to ask, "What is the best move?" This shift is powerful. It helps you avoid impulsive actions like quitting too soon, reacting harshly, or making promises you can't keep. Emotional control slows the moment down, and slowing down leads to smarter choices. Psychology also explains that stress and uncontrolled emotions reduce problem-solving ability. When the mind is overwhelmed, it narrows its focus and misses opportunities. A calm emotional state expands awareness, allowing you to see alternatives and creative solutions. This is why leaders, athletes, and successful individuals train themselves to stay composed under pressure. They understand that the quality of their decisions determines the quality of their results. Better decision making through emotional control also improves relationships. When you respond calmly instead of emotionally, you communicate more effectively and listen more carefully. This prevents misunderstandings and unnecessary conflict. Over time, people begin to trust your judgment because your actions are consistent, thoughtful. Emotional control doesn't remove feelings from decisions. It simply puts wisdom in charge of them. A calm mind performs better under pressure because pressure does not destroy performance. Emotional chaos does. Psychology explains that stress is unavoidable, but how the mind responds to it determines the outcome. When pressure increases, an uncontrolled emotional response triggers panic, tension, and overthinking. This state overwhelms the brain, making even simple tasks feel difficult. A calm mind, however, stays present. It processes information efficiently and focuses on what needs to be done rather than what could go wrong. Under pressure, the brain looks for familiarity and clarity. When emotions are regulated, the mind can access learned skills, past experiences, and logical thinking. This is why people who remain calm during exams, public speaking, or crisis often perform better than those who are equally prepared, but emotionally overwhelmed. Calmness allows the nervous system to stabilize, keeping attention sharp and reactions measured. Instead of rushing or freezing, a calm mind adapts. Psychology also shows that calmness improves emotional resilience. When pressure rises, emotionally controlled individuals do not see stress as a threat, but as a challenge. This mindset reduces fear and increases confidence. They trust themselves to handle the situation because they are not fighting their own emotions. Their energy is used for performance, not for internal struggle. A calm mind under pressure also influences others. Emotional stability creates reassurance and leadership. People naturally look to those who remain composed in difficult moments because calmness signals control and competence. This ability strengthens teamwork, trust, and decision-making in high-stress environments. Pressure will always exist in life, but a calm mind turns pressure into focus, clarity, and strength rather than confusion and breakdown. Reacting emotionally can damage relationships and opportunities because emotions, when unchecked, often speak louder than intention. Psychology explains that strong emotions like anger, jealousy, or frustration narrow perception and distort communication. In those moments, people tend to react defensively or aggressively, focusing on expressing feelings rather than understanding the situation. Words spoken in emotional reactions may carry hurt, blame, or disrespect, even when that was never the true intention behind them. In relationships, emotional reactions can create lasting wounds. A single outburst can break trust that took years to build. When emotions take control, listening stops and assumptions take over. Instead of resolving the issue, the conflict deepens. Psychology shows that people remember emotional pain more vividly than logical explanations, which means one emotional reaction can overshadow many positive experiences. Over time, repeated emotional responses can lead to distance, resentment, and broken connections. Opportunities are also at risk when emotions dictate behavior. In professional and academic settings, emotional reactions can appear as immaturity or lack of self-control. Losing temper in a meeting, reacting defensively to feedback, or allowing frustration to show can silently close doors. Decision makers often value composure and reliability, and emotional instability can create doubt about a person's ability to handle responsibility or pressure. Emotional control protects both relationships and opportunities by allowing thoughtful responses instead of impulsive reactions. When you pause, you give yourself the chance to communicate clearly and act strategically. Psychology emphasizes that self-regulation builds respect, credibility, and trust. By managing emotional reactions, you preserve connections, maintain professionalism, and keep opportunities open that might otherwise be lost in a moment of uncontrolled emotion. Emotional control is a sign of self-respect and maturity because it shows that you value yourself enough not to be ruled by every feeling that arises. Psychology explains that emotional regulation develops with self-awareness, the ability to observe emotions without immediately acting on them. When a person controls their emotions, they are not denying them, they are choosing dignity over impulse. This choice reflects inner strength rather than weakness. Self-respect is demonstrated when you refuse to allow anger, insults, or negativity to dictate your behavior. Emotionless, mature individuals understand that reacting emotionally often lowers them to situations or levels that do not align with their values. Instead of proving a point in the heat of the moment, they protect their peace. Psychology suggests that this behavior strengthens self-esteem because actions are aligned with personal standards rather than temporary emotional states. Maturity also involves understanding consequences. Emotionally controlled individuals think beyond the moment and consider how their actions will affect their future, relationships, and reputation. They recognize that emotional outbursts may bring short-term relief but long-term regret. By regulating emotions, they demonstrate responsibility for their behavior, which is a core aspect of psychological maturity. Emotional control also earns respect from others. People tend to trust and admire those who remain composed in challenging situations. This composure communicates confidence, stability, and reliability. Psychology highlights that such traits are often associated with leadership and emotional intelligence. By mastering emotional control, a person shows they are guided by purpose rather than impulse, reinforcing both self-respect and personal growth. Mastering emotions helps you take control of your future because emotions influence almost every choice you make. Psychology explains that repeated emotional patterns shape habits, and habits eventually shape life outcomes. When emotions are unmanaged, decisions become inconsistent and often driven by fear, anger, or temporary pleasure. Over time, these emotionally driven choices can pull a person away from their goals without them even realizing it. Emotional mastery brings awareness and intention back into the decision-making process. When you understand and regulate your emotions, you stop reacting to life and start directing it. Instead of being pushed by circumstances, you respond based on long-term vision. Psychology shows that individuals with strong emotional regulation are better at setting goals, delaying gratification, and staying disciplined. They do not abandon their plans because of temporary discomfort or emotional setbacks. This consistency is what creates progress and stability. Emotional mastery also strengthens resilience. Life will present failure, rejection, and uncertainty, but controlled emotions prevent these experiences from defining your future. Rather than seeing setbacks as personal defeats, emotionally skilled individuals view them as information and opportunities to grow. This mindset protects motivation and keeps forward momentum alive. Taking control of your emotions also means taking responsibility for your life. You stop blaming people or situations for how you feel and begin focusing on what you can control, your responses. Psychology emphasizes that this sense of control increases confidence and reduces anxiety. Over time, emotional mastery builds clarity, direction, and purpose, allowing you to shape your future intentionally rather than leaving it in the hands of uncontrolled emotions.